Hello, this is Astrologer Coach Sonja Francis, and today we're going to be talking about the upcoming new moon in 0 degrees of Capricorn, which will be exact on December 21st at 8:36 p.m. East Coast time in the US, which is also New York time, or 5:36 p.m. West Coast time in the US, which is also LA time. Now, the new moon is always a time where we're going within. It's an introverted time. We're trying to plant new seeds for this coming lunar cycle for the next 28 days. We're looking within to find what are these seeds that we want to plant. So it's not yet a time to take action. However, it is a great time for setting intentions for this lunar month. And the best time for those intentions is usually the first 48 hours after the new moon becomes exact, but not during a moon void, of course. So I will let you know what the exact best times are at the end of this video. This month especially, it's going to be very powerful to set intentions because the new moon happens right after the winter solstice becomes exact. The winter solstice is a time where we have lots of energy comes in. There's an influx of cosmic energy. It's the winter solstice in the northern hemisphere of the planet, in the southern hemisphere of the planet, so Australia and South America and places like that. It will be the summer solstice. However, either way, whatever solstice it is a time where we're receiving new templates, subtle but powerful downloads that accelerate our evolution. So definitely set your intentions this month and pay attention to when is the best time. I will talk about that at the end of this video. Now first, let's talk about the Capricorn energy, because what is this new moon all about? And Capricorn at its highest vibration has a lot to do with the development of responsibility. It has to do with being resourceful on an internal level, resourceful. It has to do with reliability, with self-mastery, being able to do things well, and also with the ability to set realistic goals and set healthy boundaries. Now, I talked about healthy boundaries in the past in other videos, but just briefly, I want to say that healthy boundaries have to do with not being too rigid and not being too bendy or too flexible. So it's really the middle path between the two where we're able to stand up for ourselves, we're able to say no to things when we need to, when it's required out of love and honoring ourselves. However, it's not something we do out of principle. It's not something we just do just to do it because we've been conditioned into saying no to something, or we've been conditioned into resisting something. So healthy boundaries is really about finding that middle path and also knowing in the moment what is healthy for me, what can I say yes to, what do I need to say no to, right? So that's what healthy boundaries are all about. So for the next 28 days, this is a really perfect time for us to work on developing maturity and common sense within us, prepare for the future, make commitments and recognize responsibilities that we have in our lives, whether that is in the public arena and as far as our career is concerned, or whether that is has to do with our relationships or with people in our lives. Now, it's also a great time to nurture our dreams in a realistic manner at this time and focus on practical and attainable long-term goals. So it's really about one step at a time. Capricorn is not a speedy sign. It's a slower energy. It's a feminine, more introverted energy where we're really trying to tap into our inner ambitions and what it is that we want to accomplish in the world from the inside out, and where we're really taking it slowly, one step at a time, trying to master what we're doing, trying to do things really well. Now, the lower vibration of Capricorn may show up as well for us in this lunar month because Pluto is in Capricorn, and Pluto always invites us to take a look at the shadow side of any sign that it's in. So we're really getting to see, what happens to us when we come from a place of fear. Because the shadow parts of things always usually connected to when fear shows up, the shadow shows up, right? So lower vibrations of Capricorn have to do with dominating, dominating other people, dominating society, dominating in our field, needing to win at any cost. Or it could also be the flip side, which is giving away our power and authority to other people that dominate us, because we are afraid to stand up. We're afraid to dominate. We're afraid to trust, or we're not trusting our inner authority, and so we're giving that to other people. So it's important to pay attention to that. And with this lower vibration of Capricorn, we've been seeing this sort of in the outside world since Pluto has entered Capricorn in 2008. These shadow things that are showing up in politics, in economy, in the corporate world. These are all places where Pluto is trying to bring stuff to the surface that is no longer working, that is no longer in our most common interest, so that we can detoxify these things, that we can let go of all these things and create a healthier Capricorn energy in the world, and a healthier society for ourselves, right? So questions you can ask yourself with this Capricorn, with this new moon and with this Capricorn energies: where do you look for approval or for permission? Whether that's with your career, or whether that's at your workplace or in your relationships, where are you not trusting your inner authority, right? And where do you need to set and honor realistic goals? This is something that's very important with the Capricorn energy as well. We need to be able to set realistic goals and honor them, and really not give up. Not give up our goals because there are challenges, or there's something that happens that sort of gives us a setback. To just keep going until we get to that top of the mountain, like Capricorn wants us to go, right? Now, we can watch for important insights with Pluto making a conjunction to Venus and Pluto making a conjunction to Mercury on December 20th, a day before the new moon becomes exact. Pluto conjuncts Venus. And then a couple of days after the new moon becomes exact, on December 24th, Pluto conjuncts Mercury. So that will be a time where we want to pay attention. What's coming up for us at that time? Is there anything that we've been suppressing that's all of a sudden showing up? Any shadow parts of ourselves that need to be addressed? Anything toxic that's coming up that needs to be let go of, or that we need to acknowledge and maybe make some changes in that arena of our lives, right? So pay attention what shows up for you around that time. Some way to empower yourself when it comes to relationships or when it comes to communication would be important at that time. Now, this new moon is so powerful with the Capricorn energy, because not only is the new moon in Capricorn, we also have Mercury, Pluto, and Venus in Capricorn at the same time. So this holds a very potent message for us with all these planets in Capricorn. It's about the perception of our physical reality. It's about looking at time and space. It's about the relationship we have to power. We really need to take a look at that. And with Venus making a square to the moon nodes at the time of the new moon, that really has us focus on that Venus placement in Capricorn. Venus is about the heart. Venus is about love. Venus is about relationships and collaboration. So really a new definition of how we feel empowered in the world with other people. We need to look at how can we draw on love, truth, nature, creativity, collaboration. How can we seek a healthy approach to society, a healthy approach to community and to ourselves and the planet? So Venus wants us to have a harmonious relationship to the material world and to the physical world, and to not waste our resources, right? So there's a couple of questions you can ask yourself with this Venus placement, just so you can focus a little bit more on an internal level and what that means for you. What if you could manifest a future that empowers you and fulfills you on a very deep emotional level? What would that feel like? Really sit with that question. And then another question you can ask yourself is, what might be possible if you connected with your heart 5% more today than you did yesterday? And I think that's a really beautiful question to ask ourselves every single day. I mean, I think that's really, you know, if we can connect to our heart 5% more every single day than we did the day before, that's valuable, you know, and that would really open us up completely. Now, the other thing that's happening during this new moon is that Uranus is turning direct. It's been retrograde for 5 months. And right before the winter solstice becomes exact, this planet goes into direct motion, which means that the energy is, you know, pulling us forward, the Uranus energy, which is about freedom and change, you know, about breakthroughs. So we're really stepping on the gas right now with breaking through and really individualizing. And so if we're open and if we have a positive attitude towards all these changes, we are definitely going to experience breakthroughs. If we are in fear and we're not happy with making changes in our lives, then we may experience some breakdowns at this time. So as best as you can, you know, keep your heart centered and open, you know, be open to change, be flexible, stay grounded within yourself, and remain centered. And, you know, use all the tools that you have in your toolbox to be able to do all that, you know, whether it's meditation or breathing exercises or, you know, therapy or just being able to connect to yourself, you know, in a creative way or in some way where you can just be present with yourself. That will be very helpful at this time. Now, one thing you do want to be conscious about with this Uranus energy is to make sure you are not reactive, because with that planet going direct, there's so much energy in the air with this that we may feel reactive. So make sure you take a breath, you know, take a moment before you react to things and see if you can respond consciously rather than reacting from a conditioned place. Now, Saturn is the ruler of Capricorn. And so Saturn, of course, is a very important placement with this new moon. And Saturn is at 29 degrees of Scorpio at the time of the new moon. And this is a very powerful placement because 29 degrees is the last degree of that sign. It's about to switch signs. It's about to go into Sagittarius. And so as it's still in 29 degrees of Scorpio at the time of the new moon, we're getting to take a look at, you know, what are we still needing to let go of that is toxic in our lives? How can we heal old wound and master our fears about who we are, our shadow selves, our deep, darkest secrets, right? So what fears or unconscious patterns are still having a grip on you? So this is something you can ask yourself right at the time of the new moon. And there's some other questions as well that I want to invite you to sit with if you can, you know, maybe write them down or journal on them. You know, one of those questions is like, what drains, deadens, or disempowers you at this time? You know, if there's still anything there for you where you feel drained or disempowered, take a look at that. This is the time to do it with 29 degrees of Scorpio, with Saturn sitting there. It is really wanting you to take a look real close, right? Another question you can ask yourself is, what would it feel like to have mastery over my fears? You know, if I had mastery over my fears, you know, what would life look like for me? Or would life be better? You know, could I do the things I really wanted to do if I didn't let fear stop me? If I could just feel my fear and do things anyways? Because it's not about not having fear, right? Because fear is human, it's natural. We all have it at one point or another. So it's not about not having fear. It's about acknowledging fear and doing stuff anyways, not letting it stop you from living your life, right? And the last question you can ask yourself is, who could you become if you let go of all that is toxic in your life? And so, of course, we first need to be conscious about what is toxic in our lives. And then once we're conscious of that, like, how could we just let go of these things and not focus so much on all the toxic stuff? How can we focus more on what energizes us, what brings us joy and passion and makes us feel fulfilled and strong and empowered, right? These are the things that we can focus on once we let go of all the toxicity in our lives. Now, Saturn will move into Sagittarius after December 23rd and will be there pretty much until December of 2017, with a small exception in the summer of 2015, where it's moving back into Scorpio for a couple of months. But other than that, it will be in Sagittarius for that time period. And so that's a time where we're really being invited to clarify our ethics and our beliefs. We are both on an individual level and on a collective level. And the last time Saturn was in Sagittarius was November 1985 until November 1988. So think back to that time, if you remember that time, if you were already old enough to remember what that felt like. Think back to that time and think, what did you learn about living from your inner truth at that time? What did it feel like to understand your inner truth and to live from that place? And did you reach an understanding of something greater than yourself during that time? Were you able that at the end of this transit through Sagittarius, were you able to understand yourself in a bigger way, in a larger way? Was there something greater than yourself that you could be of service to or give of yourself? Now, we do have a chance to lay tracks for a better future with this new moon. So one thing that I would recommend during the time of the new moon is trust your inner truth. Really trust what's inside of you, what feels authentic, what feels truthful. Use your authority wisely, and at the same time also don't be afraid to be in your inner authority. So if you feel that authority is something that feels a little bit scary to you, then see if you can step more into being in your inner authority. If you're comfortable with being in your inner authority, and if you're already a person that is able to be in the world as an authority figure, then make sure you use that authority wisely and consciously, and particularly in a way that helps the evolution of yourself and this planet and other people. So choose wisely for the new year. If you do have any personal planets or points in 0 to 2 degrees of Capricorn, Libra, Aries, or Cancer, or 28 and 29 degrees of Sagittarius, Gemini, Virgo, or Pisces, then you are definitely going to feel this new moon more strongly than other people. However, all of us are going to have this new moon somewhere in our chart. There is a house placement in our chart that will be affected by this new moon. So if you don't know where that is in your natal chart, if you don't know how to look that up, feel free to watch my video, How to Read Your Birth Chart. You can email my assistant Anna at info@astrologercoach.com and ask her to send you a link to that video with all the handouts that come with that class. I recommend very highly watching it. It's a really great way to be able to apply everything that I talk about in my videos and my forecasts to your natal chart. And yes, let's talk about setting powerful intentions. That's the moment we've been waiting for since the beginning, right? So the best time to set powerful intentions with this moon cycle is anytime after the new moon becomes exact. So anytime after December 21st, 8:36 p.m. East Coast time in the US, which is New York time, until December 22nd at 10:17 p.m. East Coast time, which is New York time. Now, if you live in a different time zone, if you're not on the East Coast currently, or if you're not in the New York time zone, then use the time zone converter on the internet to plug in the New York time zones and then plug in your own time zone where you live, and it will convert it to when it is the best time for you to set those intentions. And if that's a little bit too complicated for you and you don't know how to do that quite, feel free to stay in touch with me via Twitter or on my Facebook fan page. I will make announcements at the time of the new moon when that is the best time to set the intentions. So stay tuned on those days, on December 21st and 22nd. Stay tuned via Twitter and Facebook so you don't miss that time. And if you, for some reason, watch this video after December 22nd and you still want to set new moon intentions, then definitely still do that. It is possible. However, you definitely want to make sure that you don't set them during a moon void, of course. So make sure that the moon is not void, of course. You can check in with that on my website when you look at my weekly blogs, my weekly forecasts. I will always make announcements about the moon void, of course, also on my Facebook fan page, and also on Twitter. I will do the same thing. So so make sure it's not during a moon void, of course. Other than that, feel free to set intentions even after December 22nd as well. But of course, the more potent you want these intentions to be, the better it would be to set them during that time that I mentioned. Okay? All right, the last thing I want to mention is I have a really big sale for another couple of days until the end of the year on my Soul-Based Astrology Course recordings that I've been teaching online for the past 2 years. They're fantastic courses if you are at all interested in Soul-Based Astrology, the stuff that I teach. If you want to learn a little bit more about all these courses, feel free to go to my website, to the tab that says online courses, and check out what's available. There are some huge discounts right now, so I really recommend taking advantage of that. If you look at the video that I recorded about how to read your birth chart, the astrology based, the soul-based astrology courses will be in the same format as that video. So that should show you how that is. But I will always have handouts with each of the courses. There are home assignments with each of the classes. And there's also email access to me if you do have questions about anything that's happening in the course. If I can answer the question via email, I will do so right away. If not, I'm going to ask you to set up a tutoring session with me via Skype or phone, either for 25 minutes or 50 minutes, depending on what the question is, just so we're able to really address it in more detail. All right. If you have any questions about the courses or about the full moon, feel free to email me or my assistant at info@astrologercoach.com. I'm happy to answer general questions for you. If there's anything personal that you want to know about your own birth chart, then I would ask you to go to my website, to the services page, and book a reading with me. Because it does take time for me to pull up a chart and to look at everything and to prepare for a reading. So it's not something that I can do just on the fly. I would need to see your whole chart if you have any personal questions. So I'm happy to support, however, so feel free to reach out and have a fantastic new moon. Remember, it's an introverted time. It's a time where we don't want to take action yet. Time to take action is usually 3 to 4 days after the new moon becomes exact, when the moon makes a sextile to the sun in the sky. So so feel free to stay tuned with my daily forecast if you want to know when that time comes. And have a good one. I will be back in a couple of weeks when it's time for the next full moon. So have a good one. This is Astrologer Coach Sonja Francis. Goodbye.